Is it live? Yes. So hello everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining our live wine tasting. We are going to taste today a few wines, actually four. All of these four wines are from different countries, but they do have something in common, some of them. And I think it's going to be an interesting tasting. We are going to taste these wines, take notes, analyze them, and at the end, rate all of these wines, obviously, in their own category. So let's jump into the wine tasting. The first wine that we are going to taste is a Chenin Blanc from South Africa. This is how it looks. Obviously, Chenin Blanc is a very popular grape variety in South Africa. This is from the Queensland winery from Western Cape, and all of these bottles that we are going to taste have been actually opened because we've been doing blind tastings with these wines as well. But now we are going to rate them as well, because the blind tasting has like a different goal to it. You are trying to recognize the grape variety, trying to recognize even the country or the wine region. So it has a different style and different approach, not necessarily rating. Obviously, you can also try to figure out and assess the quality of the wine when you are doing the blind tasting also, so that can also be one point. So let's jump into this Queensland Chenin Blanc from Western Cape. Actually, Chenin Blanc originates from the Loire Valley from France, and what is interesting is that it arrived to South Africa actually I think in the 1800s, and today South Africa grows the most Chenin Blanc in the world. Obviously the Loire Valley also is probably the second region that has the most Chenin Blanc, but South Africa became such a huge fan of Chenin Blanc, and also the region, the climate, and the soils in South Africa really fit well with the Chenin Blanc. So let's see how this South African Chenin Blanc performs today. This is actually a very young vintage. Chenin Blanc can perform really well in many different styles. You can get very young and fresh versions with high acidity, very crisp and very clear reductive technology. But you can also get lots of also sparkling Chenin Blancs, but you can go even into the later harvested, richer, even oak aged Chenin Blancs. So it is a really versatile grape variety. It can do many different things. This one, this Queensland Chenin Blanc that we are going to try today, is a very fresh 2024. So it just got into the bottle. So it's really a fresh version. If you want to check out the back label. Obviously, fitting to the style, it has a very pale color, almost totally clear, as you can see. Obviously, with the reductive technology, probably it was harvested very quickly, and then the grapes were crushed, pressed in the matter of minutes, or without the contact of oxygen, and fermented in stainless steel, and yeah, so that's what we can expect from it. Let's see. The aroma is quite intense. It is pretty typical of Chenin Blanc. An interesting thing is that probably the age of the wine also explains this, but I can feel, and this is a wine fault actually, I can feel a bit of sulfur, which means that probably the winemaker couldn't assess properly the amount of sulfur that they added into the wine, and also the fact that it was bottled so fast and it just arrived. That also can explain the fact that the sulfur did not have enough time to get more integrated into the wine. But other than that, it has the typical Chenin Blanc characteristics. It has these green, fruity, even citric characters. Also, yellow apple is very prominent. But yeah, the sulfur feel goes away quite fast. If you let your wine to breathe a little bit, even in the glass, or if you decant it, it can go away. But obviously, this is not a pleasant experience. So we want to okay. On the palate, very sharp acidity, not as sharp as I expected from a Chenin Blanc this age, but it has quite a nice acidity, light body, maybe actually even mid to light. It's not too light. The finish is short to mid, not too long. Obviously, this wine, when tasting a wine, obviously you have to consider it and rate it in the proper context. From this style, you cannot expect wine to be so rich and so complex and so elevated as a wine that was aged in oak barrels or aged for many years. And obviously, this style had even a higher yield on the grapevines, which also decreases a bit complexity. So I would say that this is a really nice drinking, easy drinking summer wine for 2025 summer. This would be a great choice. Let me take some notes on it so we can rate them. And I'm actually working on a database where we are going to collect all of our ratings from the team, and it is going to be public, and you guys can check all the data. We are going to publish the ratings, all the details of the wine, the price range, the price to quality ratio. So we are really going to make it a useful tool for all the wine lovers in our community. Yeah, pretty typical South African Chenin Blanc. Not the highest quality that I've ever tasted, but definitely an interesting wine. I think I would rate this 85 points. A nice entry level Chenin Blanc. Also an interesting thing that in South Africa, Chenin Blanc is also called Steen, which is a funny and interesting name for Chenin Blanc. So if you see wines on the shelf, or I'm not sure if they actually use this name on the bottles, but definitely if you hear some South African people talking about Sheen, then you can know that, Steen, you can know that they are talking about Chenin Blanc. Okay, I think we should check out the next wine, which is also going to be a white wine, a Grauburgunder, which is a really popular grape variety, but it has many different names in different countries. which not a lot of people know. Lots of people think that when they drink Grauburgunder from Germany or Austria, I think they use this name in Austria as well, they think that this is a German grape variety, but actually Grauburgunder is Pinot Gris or Pinot Grigio, so it has many different names. The French call it Pinot Gris, and the Italians call it Pinot Grigio, and the Germans call it Grauburgunder. This is the bottle. This is from the Pfaffmann family winery, and obviously this is a dry Grauburgunder from the Pfalz region in Germany. This is a very typical grape variety and the typical style of wine that they produce. This is also quite young, but 1 year older than the previous wine. This is 2023. And wow, that's interesting. I'm not sure if you can see it in the video, but it had some CO2 as I opened it. So that means that maybe it had a little fermentation in the bottle. This one was also opened previously, but that was interesting, surprising. Okay, let's jump into it. Where should I put it so you can see? The color, I think, is pretty similar. Maybe it has just a very slight extra color, more yellowish, but still very pale. Same style, basically. Reductive, young, fresh white wine. Okay, that's really nice nose. And I would say that this time the nose is even better than previously when I have tasted it. I wouldn't say that it was evolving in the bottle. Maybe actually the fact that it was opened and it was opened and it had a little air, maybe that affected it, a little micro oxidation to open it up. It is definitely more intense today. Wow, maybe I misinterpreted this wine when I was tasting it blind. It is pretty different compared to the version that I have remembered it. On the nose, pretty nice, pretty intense, pretty round. It has the typical Pinot Gris aromas, also similarly some fresh fruit, some citric notes, some mineral tones, even a bit flinty. But on the palate, it has a nice acidity, but it has a nice body as well. I would say that this is a medium body wine. And I think, I'm not sure if it says on it, it shouldn't be, I'm not saying that it's not dry, it is definitely a dry wine, but I think it has a very slight residual sugar in it. As it opens up in the glass, you can kind of catch some slight stone fruit characters as well, some peach. Really nice, really nice. Grauburgunder or Pinot Gris. Pfalz. Thank you for everybody for the comments. Good evening, really curious about the list of the wines. Wish you great tasting session. Thank you, Mark. What you doing? doing a live stream of wine ratings. Thank you for commenting. Thank you everybody for watching. Okay, so let me think a bit more about this wine. It is really nice. It is more intense than I have remembered it. But obviously this wine is also not a really big wine, not a huge complexity, although very nice and pleasant. I would suggest this for also summer evenings with some light food. Some fish would be amazing with it. But with this medium body and this very slight sweetness, I think it would go well even with the heavier dishes as well. Okay. I think I will rate this wine 87 points. Okay, let's continue the wine list. Another white wine and the last white wine of the day. And actually we are continuing the list. We are tasting the same grape variety but from a different country. This one is called Pinot Grigio, so you can guess what country it comes from. It is an Italian Pinot Grigio from the Venezia wine region. This is from the Cecilia Beretta winery, which is really quite famous winery in the Veneto region, also 2023, so it is the same vintage and the same grape variety. As I said, Grauburgunder is Pinot Grigio, just in Germany, so same grape variety, same vintage, so it's going to be interesting to compare these two wines. So let's jump into it. Also an interesting fact that today all of these wines were only the first three, the fourth is different. All of these are bottled with screw caps, which is an interesting trend. More and more wineries use the screw caps, especially in Australia. We don't have any Australian wines today, but all over the world, screw cap is getting more popular. And actually, a few studies came out recently in the past few years that kind of changed the perspective of the wine industry on the screw caps. Up to this point, the consensus was basically that screw caps, cork bottled wines can age a lot more, and they are the micro-oxidation can go better in the cork bottled wine bottles. And with the screw caps, it's different because it seals the wine hermetically and the wines cannot age under screw cap. That was the theory for many years. And nowadays a few studies came out that suggest that even though the screw cap seals the wine hermetically, the amount of air that is stuck in the bottle, in the neck of the bottle, is actually enough, provides enough oxygen to age the wine and to perform those reduction and different chemical processes, micro-oxidation that age the wine. So nowadays the consensus is that you can age wine bottles that have screw caps on them, as well as cork bottled wines. But obviously it also has a different aspect. This question, the corked bottles with wine corks are a bit more prestigious. The opening ceremony is a bit nicer, and it comes down to preference. I do prefer more the corks, but obviously you have to recognize these trends and accept these bottles. A few years back, like 20 years ago or 15 years, even 10 years ago, the screw cap bottles had a very bad reputation, and people thought that wines that have the screw cap are very cheap and easy drinking wines, and you shouldn't really think twice about them, not to mention aging them. But nowadays you can see definitely a change. Lots of very big, very expensive, very famous wines, especially from Australia, come with screw caps. So they really push forward this idea. So I'm not saying that I prefer them more, but as wine professionals, you have to have this perspective and understand that it is changing. So let's see this Veneto Pinot Grigio after the Grauburgunder. Okay, interesting. It definitely has the Pinot Grigio, Grauburgunder character. It is somewhat similar, but this one is, I would say, in on the nose, it is a bit more intense. It has a different style of aromas, more citrusy, and it has more tropical characters. It is a different style, and it has a very intense flower. I'm not sure which flower is this, but it has this typical white flower nose. Really interesting. And this one is also different than I have remembered it. Really interesting. These wines really develop under these screw caps. Tairate comments where I'm also curious about that. And the previous commenters said, Finchhire, where are you from? I'm actually from Transylvania, the western side of Romania, so that's where I am at right now, in Kolozsvár, which is called sometimes the capital of Transylvania. Obviously, there is no legal status for this, so there is no capital, but that's what it's called. This is one of the, in my opinion, the most beautiful cities in the region, and yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm not from here. I'm from the most western side of Transylvania, right next to the Hungarian border. So I'm ethnically Hungarian. So yeah, but thank you for the question. Interesting wine. On the palate, this one is definitely sharper. The acidity is even higher. It makes your mouth water, and it is also a bit tilting towards medium body. Maybe the body is a bit lighter here, but definitely not light. I think this is more intense on the palate and a bit even more complex. This doesn't have that slight sugar content that the previous wine had. Really interesting. The color is also actually a bit lighter. This is more similar to the first wine, to the Chenin Blanc. Interesting. This is, I would say that this is a really nice example of Veneto region Pinot Grigio. Really nice example. Okay. And I also like the label. Actually, if you are wondering why I show the wine in two different ways, we are live on both of our channels, on Wine Inspires and also on the Zaparpad channel, my own personal channel. Uh, yeah, we have, I think the audiences on these two channels are quite different, so that's why we decide sometimes to go live on both of them. But I'm not sure if YouTube approves this method, but I hope they don't mind. So let's take our notes. This is really tough because I think it is definitely different compared to the previous, the Grauburgunder, the German Pinot Grigio, but qualitatively, I'm not too sure if it's higher, maybe slightly more intense and just slightly longer finish, but they are quite similar on the same level of quality. I think I will rate this one also 87 points. If I could rate, obviously in the wine industry we don't really use, I mean some people use, but I don't really like half points. If I would use half points, I would say that this is 87.4, but it doesn't tilt to the other side. Big Hawk 81 comments, looks delicious. Thank you, Big Hawk. Cheers to you. Okay, I will rate this 87. Very similar Pinot Grigios, but also a bit different in style, but pretty similar in quality. So I think we are going to reach our last wine, but in my opinion, the most exciting one. Obviously, in wine tasting, there is this question of objectivity. Obviously, when you are tasting wines professionally, there is certainly a level of objectivity, and you try to assess the wines in a way that it is as close as possible to the scientific method, and yeah, assess the quality and professionally think through all the different aspects of the wine, and also consider the style of this wine so you can assess it in that context. But I'm on the opinion that you cannot be like 100% objective. All of us have different perspectives, and we value different styles more. So I think that it is a bit how should I say, it's a bit like lying to say that you are assessing the wine completely fairly and with no prejudices. Even Robert Parker, one of the biggest wine critics, had his style and his ideas about Bordeaux, especially, and how should the Bordeaux wines taste. And he was following those stylistic ideas and like his preferences. And since he was so influential and his word was so valuable for the wine industry, he created this wave of changing styles in Bordeaux, but not just in Bordeaux, in all over the world. There is a famous like example to this. Michel Rolland, one of the most famous winemakers in the world. He was a flying winemaker, which means that he was not like a winemaker sitting in one country at one winery and making those wines, but a winemaker that was working for many wineries all over the world, and that's why it's called flying winemaker, because he travels everywhere and makes, in quotes, makes the decisions for the wineries to produce the wine. And he was very famous for being able to replicate the style of wine that Robert Parker, the biggest wine critic of the time, was really appreciating. So this created like this little funny race that Robert Parker was running all over the world and rating the wines, and Michel Rolland was trying to be ahead of him and follow those styles and get the high ratings and blow up all these wineries. He was working for many wineries on probably, I'm not really sure about the data. I should have researched this, but probably all of the wine growing continents. He worked with South American wineries, American wineries, Europe, Old World, many famous legendary wineries. So that was interesting. So what I'm saying is that we shouldn't really push this idea of being completely objective. Obviously, the context, the style of wine, and our subjective preferences influence our decisions. Cătălin 30041. There are some Romanian wines rated by Robert Parker. That's really good question. I would guess that you are Romanian, since Cătălin seems like a Romanian name. I do not know any specific wines that are rated by Robert Parker, but I'm pretty sure that there are some. Thank you, Cătălin. Cătălin says that he is Romanian, and for respect, he speaks in English. I'm a beginner in wines. Well, Cătălin, I wish good luck for you. And the world of wines is a beautiful world, and there is always place for learning. And yeah, I wish you good luck, and I'm really glad that you enjoy my work and you have joined the live. So back to your question about the ratings of Robert Parker and Romanian wines. I do not know exact examples, but he rated thousands of wines, so I'm pretty sure that he have rated Romanian wines as well. And I would say that the red wines, especially from the Dealul Mare wine region, I would guess that he probably liked those wines. Crama de Matei received 92-94 points from James Suckling a few days ago in Miami. Wow, that's an amazing rating. I didn't read about that, about Mr. James Suckling's ratings. Yeah, he was Robert Parker is retired already. Yeah. So yeah, what was I saying about the ratings and the subjectivity? So yeah, and based on all these ideas that I have explained about the slight subjectivity of ratings, I think that the wine industry should consider more the, not necessarily the subjectivity, but this idea of having a story behind the wines, because some wines have a very interesting and unique story, and they are rare and interesting, and this makes them more valuable, even if we don't like this idea, but this really happens. And I think we should really consider this, because for example, if you taste some very specific grape variety from Greece, let's say, that is a native Greek grape variety, it is not grown anywhere in the world, just there, and it has a very limited production and just a few vineyards grow it, since Greece has like hundreds. I think it has 800 grape varieties grown there, native Greek grape varieties. And if you drink some of these wines and consider that these grape varieties have been there for hundreds of years, even some of them thousands of years, and just thinking about the history, it is necessarily affects your point of view and your experience of tasting them. And I think we shouldn't ignore this. wine and the culture of wine is not a chemical laboratory. Obviously, we as winemakers, we have to learn chemistry as well, and we have to understand it from the point of view of producing wine. But the consumers and the critics and the journalists shouldn't close themselves into these boxes of only considering the, the science and the chemistry of the wine. Katalin says Greek wines are underrated. I think they have a good climate for wines, both red wines and white wines. Well, Katalin, you are absolutely right, and you hit the nail on the head today because it was not a coincidence that I have brought up the Greek wines, because the last wine of our tasting is going to be a Greek wine. And I also do agree with you that the Greek wines have a great, a great potential. Obviously, the history of the Greek wine industry is amazing. I'm actually working on a project, on a video about the Greek wine industry, because for me it's so fascinating that these are the people that have one of the largest influence on the wine industry. They have started this idea of appreciating wine and celebrating it. Obviously, we know that the wine production and the origin of Vitis vinifera as the grapevine, the grapevine that we use for wine production is not originating from Greece, but Greece is most definitely one of the earliest adopters and one of the biggest influence on developing a culture around wine. And for me, it's really, really interesting and obviously a bit sad that this culture from the ancient Greeks that have had this amazing wine culture kind of stopped. And for the past decades, we don't really see any Greek wines on top echelons of the wine industry, in the top ratings on the best wines list. There are none, not just a few, but absolutely zero. Obviously there are fantastic Greek wines, but for some reason it disappeared. Actually, I kind of understand some of the reasons, and that's what I'm going to explain in the video. So I would suggest everybody to subscribe to the channel to see the video, because we are going to dive into the history of the Greek wine industry and what wars and difficult situations, social and political situations, led to this place where there was not enough focus on the wine industry. But I do agree with Katalin that Greece has great potential in the wine industry, and I do believe that they are going to rise, and the popularity of the Greek wines is going to evolve just as much as the quality of their wines is evolving, because in the recent years the quality is exploding. I think there is a bit of a difficult situation for them, since the wine industry globally is driven to different points of views and different little influences, and one of this is obviously the marketing and the understanding of the wine consumer, people of the different wine regions and grape varieties. For the past years, the general wine consumers, obviously we are not talking about professionals, because professionals do understand quite well even the Greek wines, but the general consumers were kind of struggling to understand the different wine regions, the different wine producing countries. Obviously that can be very difficult when you go into the different French appellation systems, Italian ones, don't even talk about Portugal. But this idea of appreciating different wine regions is kind of accepted and understood by the general consumers. Also, the grape varieties is another point of like this anchor where people can hang on to it and try to understand the wines when you're a beginner. trying to appreciate and compare maybe different Merlots from different countries, Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, all the global grape varieties are nowadays quite well understood. But Greece has this problem that it has also very many and difficult wine regions. The islands, Greece has, I think, more than 6,000 islands. Obviously, it doesn't mean that all of those islands are different wine regions, but it makes it quite difficult to understand the whole geography of Greece if you are not from the area. And the wine grape varieties, it's like impossible to wrap your head around this many grape varieties. And for the wine consumers, understanding the grape variety is one of the key factor. Again, I'm talking about the general consumer. If the person in the wine shop or in the supermarket cannot read or pronounce the grape variety, then the situation is pretty lost, because if they don't understand it, it creates this psychological effect of being afraid of this wine. So I think this is one of the biggest challenge of the Greek wine industry, to try to break through this and maybe select some of the grape varieties that have great potential, and focus on those and try to push them through this invisible barrier of the international wine industry. And I'm not saying that they are not doing it. I think they are trying this exact same thing with the grape variety that we are going to taste today as well. And yeah, it's a very interesting topic, the Greek wine industry, and I'm really motivated to learn more about it and to develop. Okay, let me check some of your comments, because I can see that you are commenting. No name commented, "Hi, I love your content and shorts. Keep it up." Thank you. This is, I really appreciate all the positive feedbacks. It really means a lot, and it helps us to move forward and do more and build our content. This is our goal, to produce videos and content that people appreciate and maybe help to learn. And yeah, this really feels good. I have some. That's okay. Let me get back to Catalin, because he has some more things to say. Wines are underrated. Yes, I have Georgian wines in my fridge. Great. Georgian wines are also very exciting, and that region of the world is what most people agree on being the origin of winemaking and even Vitis vinifera. So that is also a similar situation. Very interesting and exciting wines, and not just the grape varieties, but also we all know that some of the styles of winemaking and practices that they have there are really unique. I heard some rumors that some red wines are very good from neighborhood country Macedonia. Yes, I have also heard that, but I never had the opportunity. Would love to try those. But those wines are available in Macedonia. Yes, that's the reason why it's really rare. Wine was invented in Caucasus in Georgian more, and exactly correct. So wine traveled to Greece and arrived in Europe. Exactly. Separavi is a very similar wine to Tempranillo from Rioja. Yes, that is also true. Well, Catalin, I wouldn't say that you are really a beginner. All the things that you are saying here are correct, and I can see that you have a great knowledge in wine already. So keep up learning. So, as I've said, our last wine for today is a Greek wine. It is a Cinnamavro, which is one of their most popular red grape varieties. This is a historical native Greek grape variety, and this is from the Nosa wine region, which is one of their most famous wine regions. And actually, the winery is also quite renowned. The Bottari family, the Bottari winery, which was established in 1879. So it is one of the oldest still active wineries in Greece. really exciting. Obviously, this was also opened previously, so I'm not trying to trick you. These wines were all blind tasted previously, but I tried to reconstruct them into their original form for this wine tasting. So let's open it. So Cinnamavro is a very interesting grape variety. Lots of people compare it to the Italian Nebbiolo. It is quite similar in viticulture as well, so in the vineyard, but it has also a similar style as the wine. So the bottle has this composite cork, which is an interesting choice. Obviously, these corks, the composite corks, are cheaper, but in some cases they can hold even better than the natural cork cuts. Okay, let's see this Bottari Nossa Cinnamavro from Greece. This is 2020, so still quite young for this style of wine, but not too young, so I think that we can already appreciate it. Can you tell me where I can buy this wine from Greece? It's available in Romania. Yes, actually, you are pretty lucky. That's very funny that exactly a Romanian viewer is asking this, because I have bought this in Romania. If you allow me just a second, maybe I can tell you exactly, because I use multiple websites to order wine. I order both from Romania and from Hungary, but I'm pretty sure that this wine was ordered here, and I think that yes, this wine is available on the EMAG website, and yeah, you can look for Nossa Cinnamavro on EMAG. This is the wine that you should look for. Can I purchase it online? John Mutinda asks. Yes, you can, as I have mentioned. So this is the wine. I should put it here so everybody can see it. Sorry for pushing these away. Okay, let's see. The color is really interesting, although, as I've said, 2020, it's not old by any means. It is quite young for red wine, but the color suggests a slight little bit of age. You can tell a red wine's age by its hue. Younger red wines, also obviously this is also influenced by the grape variety, but usually really young red wines have this purplish, even a slight little bluish tint. So if you think about like color theory, the red color is a bit colder, and as the wine ages and gets older and older, the color temperature goes to warmer and warmer, meaning the wine from red to really purple goes towards orange tint, and at the end, when it's very, very old, it goes almost brown. So this wine, although not very old, it has a slight orangish tint to it. So it doesn't look too purple. I'm not sure if you can see it from the video, but the color is really nice, really interesting. And also, as I have said, they compare this Cinnamavro grape variety to Nebbiolo from Italy, and these wines sometimes do not have the highest color intensity, like Cabernet Sauvignon, for example. It has huge anthocyanin content. These wines have a lower anthocyanin content, although the tannin is quite high in them. So let's jump into it and see. Oh wow, wow, great intensity, really. And as I said, it's really similar in style to Nebbiolo. Really nice. It has this, besides the fruit character, it has a slight red fruit character, maybe some darker fruit characters, cherry definitely, but it has this earthy undertone as it is in Nebbiolo. This earthy forest floor, leafy, maybe even some tobacco tone to it. Wow. Let's taste it. Cheers, guys. Okay. On the palate, really interesting body. Quite high acidity. I would say it's really high. Catherine asks if what is the level of tannin? Is it high tannin? It is quite high. I wouldn't say that it's like the absolute highest, but it is up there. Quite fresh. It also has this nice acidity, really intense fruit aromas, and it finishes with these earthy characters. But I would say that the the body is a bit lacking. I have expected just a little bit more. It is really nice, but when at the beginning the attack is quite intense with these nice tannins, with the acidity, with the aromas, but then the mid palate is like a bit shorter. It's like something is missing from the middle. Hmm? It might be actually slightly my fault because this was opened, as I said, for a blind tasting, and it was like this for a few days, and this bottle's level is even lower than the previous ones. So maybe the being left like this, it wasn't in good temperature, and it didn't have any light effect on it, but but maybe it started to develop into go downwards. Wow, as it gets some air in the glass, it also develops this slight tomato leaf character. Very interesting. It's interesting that the finish is actually mid to, I wouldn't say long, but it's a mid length of finish. So the finish is nice, the attack is nice, but something in the middle is missing just a bit. Maybe my expectations were a bit too high for this wine. Okay, Catalin suggests that it should be kept for 3 more years in the fridge or 5, 6 years to keep it. Yeah, I would say it has really good aging potential. I would say even if you keep it in really good conditions in the cellar, I think it would be really interesting even after 10 years because the tannin structure and this acidity is really has the potential for aging. So I think this wine, especially this wine, definitely would handle some really nice aging. But in general, these types of wines, the Cinnamavros from Greece, from this Nossa wine region, which is one of the oldest actually classified wine regions in Greece. This was classified in 1971, if I'm right, and this wine region was the first denomination in Greece that received this protected designation of origin. So it's a really interesting wine region. And the Cinnamavros from this region are just absolutely beautiful. I would still say that this wine is probably the best performing of the night. Still great potential, really interesting wine. On the personal note, as I have said about the wine ratings and the subjective element, I would say that for me, this is the most exciting wine, both considering the history, the grape variety, the region, and also when I'm tasting wine, I also try to imagine also the vintage, the year, but also the region, those people that have been working on this wine and growing it, and it also affects your thinking about it, your thinking about the wine, and it makes it much more interesting to put yourself into those places. And when you're tasting such a wine, thinking about all those beautiful Greek islands and Greek regions, not just the islands but the Greek mainland, such an interesting and beautiful word, especially from people who are not from there and just visitors. And also, we shouldn't forget the personal element when you have visited the winery or wine region, when you taste it later, and go back to your memories, to those experiences that also really affects and can elevate your tasting experience. A random editor asks, have you ever tried the brand Dees? No, never tried it, and I'm not sure if this is a meme or is this a real brand. So yeah, really exciting, really interesting wine. I will give the high. Yes, it was a meme. Thank you, Randomite. I would give the highest rating for this wine from this night. I will rate this 88 points. Really interesting Cinnamavro, and I'm really excited to try more Greek wines, and we are actually planning some trips to Greece and some collaborations, and we are excited to produce some more content about the Greek wine industry because I think it really deserves more attention. Yeah, this wine definitely deserves the 88 points. Well, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if we should continue with these live streams, live tasting events. I think doing live videos has like a different perspective, different style compared to like edited and well polished videos. Even from the viewer experience, you can kind of see it without any filter, without any editing. You can see the emotions and my ideas as they come forth while tasting. And also from my perspective, because it allows me to interact with you, read the comments, even if some of you are trying to trick me. No worries, random editor. But yeah, so I think we will continue with the lives as well as with the well-polished videos. Right now we are working on some very interesting projects. Editing right now the video from the Furmint February Grand Tasting, which is the biggest wine tasting, Furmint grape variety wine tasting in the world. It was in Budapest in February. We participated. There were, I think, 150 wines, Furmint wines there. Obviously, we couldn't taste all of them, but tasted some amazing, exceptional wines. So we produced a really nice video about it, and not just about the event, but like an educational piece about Furmint in general that is coming up probably next week. It is going to be published. Next weekend, we are going to the ProWine, the largest wine fair in the world. It's going to be in Germany, in Düsseldorf. And we also have some interesting plans there, some collaborations with our previous guests from the podcast, and also some friends. So that is going to be exciting also. And yeah, some more events, but I'm not trying to tell you all the secrets beforehand, but definitely thank you for supporting, thank you for watching, and subscribe if you have enjoyed our content, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye, everybody.